The family of the late South African ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa, says if the scheduled repatriation of their loved one is a success, he will then be buried this Sunday. The family is calling for clarity as well as answers surrounding Mthethwa's death, as his body is expected to be returned to South Africa soon. The 58-year-old Mthethwa died after falling from the 22nd floor of the Hyatt Regency Hotel out in Paris last week, Tuesday. And for an update on this, let's cross live to SABC News correspondent William Denselow, who's joining us live from Paris. So, William, good to have you with us this afternoon. Please give us the latest in regards to the French ambassador Nathi Mthethwa's death investigation. How far are some of the investigations looking into the details surrounding, leading to his death, in fact?
Well, we've had preliminary investigations and preliminary findings from the French authorities that were unveiled a couple of days ago now. Now, what they essentially said is that the initial investigation suggests this could have been a deliberate act. As they say this was a deliberate act without third-party intervention. They add that the purpose of the ongoing investigation, though, is to gather any evidence useful to understanding the facts. What more was revealed from French investigators is that a pair of scissors was recovered from this hotel suite on the 22nd floor of the Hyatt Hotel here in the French capital. We understand it was used to potentially prized open these windows that are normally kept shut for security reasons. French investigators also say that there appears to be no signs of a struggle, no signs of narcotics, medicines found at the scene as well. And of course, as we've been reporting, as you've rightly mentioned, we understand that this team of 5 South African investigators will be working in conjunction with French investigators over the coming few days to provide, as they put it, to ensure that the circumstances are thoroughly and transparently investigated. This is, we've heard from the family spokesperson, something that's welcome. It's seen as to be very much working hand in glove with the French and not seen as a counter or any kind of rival or parallel investigation, very much working in lockstep with the French investigators as they continue to do their work as timely a fashion as they possibly can.
Absolutely understood, William. So is there any update in terms of some of that missing information? We're getting latest reports. We're not sure about, of course, how truthful they are, this side that, of course, Mr. Mthethwa had in fact booked the Hyatt Regency hotels just for 2 days. And we've been wondering this side as to the availability in the public domain of any footage of surveillance of the former ambassador actually stepping inside the Regent Hyatt Hotel. Has this been made public on the French side?
We're still waiting for updates on the French side, hoping for further updates throughout this afternoon here in the French capital. When it comes to the rumours, the speculation as well that has been surrounding this case over the past week or so, of course, flurries of activity, as you might expect, on social media. The family has reacted over the weekend to the huge amounts of conjecture that, of course, has surrounded these tragic circumstances. They say that's something that you can't block out. They say that their focus at the moment is controlling the pace of the repatriation. They say they're hoping that that can be done as quickly and as timely proceeding as possible to provide the late ambassador with a fitting send-off in his home back in South Africa.
And William, what can you tell us about, of course, his autopsy that we understand has since been concluded? The family this side did confirm receipt of the death certificate, but we're still trying to ascertain the actual cause that is stated within the death certificate.
Absolutely. We're hoping to hear more updates a little later this afternoon, so very much stay tuned for further updates from the family. There has been a degree of frustration, I think it can be gleaned over the past 24 hours or so. There were certainly hopes that an autopsy would be revealed by Tuesday at the very latest, but the family certainly expressing hopes over the weekend that it could be unveiled today. So very much still the hopes that this could happen so that things could begin to take flight, so we could begin to see a degree of momentum when it comes to these repatriation proceedings, of course, so crucial for the coming days. The hope is that now that we believe that this death certificate has been provided, now the autopsy can indeed follow in a timely manner, and that could mean that the remains can be moved to a private morgue, and then the repatriation process can really begin in earnest.
And just maybe in closing, William, what are you hearing also on this side in terms of the investigation that we might not particularly be privy to here in South Africa?
Well, still very little information we're hearing from French investigators. Not uncommon for police to be working very much outside of the media purview while investigations are going on. Of course, we'll be hoping for further updates when the South African investigators do begin to work in conjunction with them to see what kind of progress can be made in that regard. But at the moment, investigators still very much working somewhat outside of the purview of the public spotlight. They say that their priority, though, is to be transparent, is to provide any information when it comes. But at the moment, what we're hearing from the French side is just that initial investigation, as previously mentioned, and we're very much waiting for any further updates. Important to note as well that just a few minutes ago, visited the embassy here just down the road from where I'm speaking to you on the banks of the River Seine, and really there was a book of memorial, a book of condolences, an opportunity for people to visit the embassy and write a few words about the passing of their late ambassador. Speaking to those in the embassy, they told me that they simply, of course, it has to be business as usual to a certain degree. The embassy can't close for those that need their services, but of course a huge amount of despair from those that knew and worked with the late ambassador.
William, thank you so much for that comprehensive update. That is SABC News correspondent William Denselow joining us live in Paris with the latest in regards to French ambassador, the late Nathi Mthethwa.